From the Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com, more people choose Good Morning Maine.
A child has been reunited with her family after a frantic search in the town of Jay. Plus, a special gathering in Augusta to honor fallen law enforcement officers. And Camp Capella is ready for another busy season thanks to some caring volunteers. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith and thank you for tuning in this morning. My colleague Craig Colson is taking a sick day today, but let's get a look at that forecast. It's another beautiful day. That's that forecast with Devin Biggs. I'm still waking up this morning.
Hey Emma, thank you very much. A nice quiet start this morning, and we'll stay quiet today with a good amount of sunshine, so get outside and enjoy things. There's a little bit of energy off toward the north that will not give us any issues. Some more energy off toward the south and west that will also not give us any issues. We will have some precipitation moving in later on this week, but in the short term, a lot of sunshine on the way for us throughout the daytime period today. Maybe some clouds, and yes, a little bit of fog on the way for us coming up later on tonight. Maybe some gusty winds today as well, reaching up to about 20 miles per hour at times today. Calming down gradually later on tonight and looking pretty good for tomorrow. Maybe a few gusts getting up to 20 miles per hour at times. So overall for today, mid-70s. Actually pretty nice, mostly sunny. A little breezy out there, and that south wind, maybe a few areas getting up to about 25 miles per hour at times. Later on tonight, partly cloudy, some areas of dense fog with lows in the low 50s and a southwest wind backing off to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, lower 70s under a mostly cloudy sky and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, absolutely beautiful with a lot of sunshine, temperatures warming into the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Emma?
Thank you, Devin. It looks like a beautiful day. We'll have a look at that 5-day a little later on. First up this morning, a 2-year-old child has been reunited with her family thanks to a game warden and his trusty canine partner. Authorities were called to a home on Tripp Lane in Jay on Tuesday afternoon after the little girl vanished. The toddler and her mother were doing chores outside when the mom realized the child was missing around 11 a.m. Multiple agencies responded to help in the search. At around 1:15, Warden Jake Voter and his canine Coda located the girl in thick brush about 300 yards from the back of the house. She had some scrapes from walking in the woods, but she was otherwise okay. She was quickly reunited with her very relieved family members, thanks to teamwork by everyone who responded to the call for help. That is some good work by those first responders. All right, in other news this morning, a single vehicle crash in Eddington sent a driver to the hospital and killed 2 horses. According to Penobscot County Staff Sergeant Stephen Marco, dispatch received a call about a single vehicle crash on the main road in Eddington around 2 p.m. The pickup truck had a single male occupant and was hauling a horse trailer with 2 horses when police say it veered off the roadway. The trailer collided with a large tree, which caused the truck to detach and continue moving, resulting in further collisions with additional trees. 1 horse was killed during the crash. The other sustained injuries so severe it was put down by a veterinarian. The driver was transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Yeah, we still try to figure out what happened, but it doesn't, there aren't any skid marks that would indicate the driver was braking before the accident.
Traffic was reduced to 1 lane while responders investigated and cleared the scene. The crash remains under investigation. A person has been arrested in connection with a fire at a Bangor business. 30-year-old Carrie Smith, an unhoused individual from Bangor, is charged with arson. A spokesperson for the State Fire Marshal's office says just before midnight on Monday, the Bangor Fire Department was called to a reported building fire at Bangor Braces at 257 Harlow Street. They noted suspicious circumstances surrounding the origin of the fire and requested assistance from the Fire Marshal's office. The spokesperson says an investigator from the State Fire Marshal's office determined that the fire started on the outside of the building near 2 trash cans before burning through to the interior. The fire was ruled arson and Smith was arrested. The spokesperson says the fire caused approximately $20,000 worth of damage. The building was unoccupied and no one was injured. The investigation is ongoing. Members of Maine law enforcement, state officials, and community members gathered in Augusta at the Maine Law Enforcement Officer Memorial on Tuesday. Those in attendance honored Maine law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
Maine law enforcement officers who made the ultimate sacrifice were honored in the 33rd annual observance at the Law Enforcement Officers Memorial.
It's a tough day, but it's also a great day to recognize that sacrifice and to remember why we do what we do.
This year, 2 more names were enshrined on the somber gray wall. Herbert Tarbox of the Falmouth Police Department and Richard Betters of the Portland Police Department, who both suffered heart attacks while trying to save others.
It's a big deal to have Rick go up on the wall today, somebody that I worked with, mentored me, friend, brother, crazy uncle, all those things were Rick Betters and then some. So it's a big day for a lot of us.
There are 90 names total engraved along the memorial wall, and each name was read aloud during Tuesday's ceremony.
Luke Gross, Hancock County Sheriff's Department.
Among those names is Charles Black, who was killed during a bank robbery over 60 years ago. His son has made it a tradition to attend this observance.
It's nice to know 61 years later that Dad is still remembered and all the names on that monument behind us are still remembered.
Members of law enforcement say events like this are vital to keep the fallen officers' memories alive.
I would love to have this entire place flooded with Maine residents and law enforcement officers because the 90 heroes on that wall deserve it.
In Augusta, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Funding to fix a road that floods in Washington County has been pulled. The Addison Road in Columbia Falls regularly floods where it crosses Bells Brook. According to Maine Public, the $9 million grant from the federal government to rebuild it and improve water flow to a nearby salt marsh was suddenly terminated. The Maine Department of Marine Resources was awarded the grant from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration last August. I guess we'll have video for that one. Oh, that one does not have video. Never mind. Well, in other news, Penobscot Community Health Care and Seaport Community Health Center in Belfast are recruiting for a national study that will examine the effectiveness of 2 forms of a medication used in treating opioid use disorder in rural settings. Buprenorphine can be injected or put under a patient's tongue. The study aims to examine the drug's effectiveness in both forms and address the unique challenges faced by those dealing with opioid use disorder in rural settings, including the barriers they face that impact their ability to get the needed medication for treatment. To be eligible to participate in the study, you must be 18 years of age or older and in good general health, but you must have been diagnosed with opioid use disorder. You also must be willing to be randomly assigned one of the 2 forms of medication to be studied. We have more information on our website, foxbangor.com. The City of Bangor has appointed a new city manager. Effective June 16th, 2025, Carolyn Lear will serve in that role that most recently belonged to Debbie Laurie. Lear attended Roger Williams University School of Law and has served in various roles in state and federal government, most recently with the IRS. The Bangor City Council said her selection comes at the end of a rigorous search for the right candidate. They introduced her during a city council meeting.
For me, public service is undoubtedly an honor and a privilege. Today I'm feeling especially honored and especially privileged. So thank you very much. I very much look forward to doing the hard work with you.
Thank you. We're delighted to have you. See you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As part of her employment with the city, Lear will move from her current home in Dedham to Bangor in the next 2 years. Motorcycle enthusiasts gathered in Augusta yesterday to highlight the importance of motorcycle safety. The Governor's Tea with the United Bikers of Maine has become an annual tradition to kick off May as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. Members of the organization were joined by government partners such as the Secretary of State's office and the Department of Highway Safety. This year also marks 50 years of the United Bikers of Maine, and members say their mission has remained the same throughout the decades.
What organization's out there that's 50 years old anymore? There aren't many. When I was growing up, there was UBM, MAD, and DARE. So if you look at that, we're still going strong years later, and the motto hasn't changed. Granted, we've had to evolve, but we're still doing it, years and years and years later, and we're going to continue to do it.
According to officials from the Department of Highway Safety, Maine saw an increase in motorcycle fatalities from 2023 to 2024, and there has already been one motorcycle-related fatality this year. Leading causes of motorcycle crashes have been attributed to distracted drivers. State officials and bikers are reminding people to pay attention on the road and be mindful of those traveling on two wheels. It's two parties, it's both the bikers and it's the drivers, so everybody's got to work together so that they can be safe on the roads. All right, the time now is 6:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, health officials are warning Mainers to protect themselves against brown-tail moths. It's that time of year already. We'll hear how we can avoid getting a painful rash. But before we go, let's take another quick look at that forecast. A beautiful day today. We had a beautiful day yesterday, and look, we got another one today. What a treat. Highs in the mid-70s, mostly sunny, and we have a nice breeze as well to top it off. Oh, what a beautiful day. Okay, dropping down to a low of 50 degrees overnight. We are going to see some fog in certain parts of our coverage zone. Tomorrow, another day, another beautiful day, but some clouds are moving in. High of 72 for your Thursday. We'll be right back.
Upset stomach? Iberogast. Indigestion? Iberogast. Bloating? Iberogast. Thanks to a unique combination of herbs, Iberogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms, the power of nature. Iberogast.
Need a driveway paved or an entire road surfaced? Give Eaton Paving and Excavation a call. Eaton Paving offers a full line of excavation packages, from new home projects to new and replacement septics and driveways. We also install new shoreland and do shoreland repairs. Our operators have more than 75 years combined experience, and we have been delivering quality, professional service for nearly 3 decades. We strive to exceed your expectations. Give us a call today at 207-348-5630 or visit us at eatonpaving.com.
Bill Belichick. Everyone's talking about the former New England Patriot and now University of North Carolina football coach and legend. Now this week, he's live on GMA. Michael Strahan with Bill Belichick, the morning exclusive. Friday, live on Good Morning America.
Does this musical artist have tattoos?
We don't know for sure with the restraining order at all.
Weekdays at 10 on ABC7.
You're here because, according to you, she's not peaceful.
She's banging on ceiling.
Banging on your door?
Banging on the roof.
Banging on my window. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Get out of my courtroom.
Walk out.
All this week at 4 on ABC7.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. More Mainers could be employed in high-quality research and development jobs. A bus tour of life science leaders from across the state was in Bar Harbor yesterday to see what kind of research is being done at the Mount Desert Island Biological Lab and the Jackson Lab. They say they want to increase awareness and work in a more cohesive way to create more opportunities.
We study organisms in nature that have an amazing ability to repair and regenerate damage that happens as we age. And these organisms can regenerate every part of their body. They can regenerate their heart, they can regenerate their limbs, they can regenerate their brains. And so we're really interested in understanding how are they able to do that, and are there lessons that we can learn from studying these animals that we can then apply to human health.
The tour comes as Maine lawmakers prepare to vote on LD 1643. If passed, the bill would create a Life Science Innovation Center, which would support and accelerate research and development partnerships. And I know I think they're hiring at the MDI Biolab right now. I have a friend that works there and really enjoys her job, and she suggests it to people, so, that's always an option too. They're already hiring. but it's good to follow the bills as well. In other news, a camp that provides recreation and resources for people with disabilities and their families received help to open. Down East Horizon participants helped rake, clean, and prepare Camp Capella for their opening. Down East Horizon's executive director, Tony Zambrano, says it's an opportunity for those with disabilities to give back to others with disabilities.
And without Down East Horizons and Tony Zambrano, we would not be able to open camp every single year. This is so crucial. They bring so many people down here, and we have such a good time, don't we, guys?
Yeah! People like me with intellectual disabilities, this is like, this to us, this is like our happy place.
Volunteers celebrated their day of work with a barbecue and the hopes of an exciting summer ahead. The camp will open in June. It does look like a happy place. That's really sweet. All right, the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention is reminding Maine residents and visitors to take steps to protect yourself against brown-tailed moth hairs. So if you're doing stuff like spring cleanup, this is definitely something you should be aware of. Brown-tailed moth caterpillars are active as the weather warms up, and they shed tiny hairs that can be stirred up by raking, mowing, and other yard work. The hairs can land anywhere, and they can stay toxic for up to 3 years. That's a long time. For most people, they cause a poison ivy-like rash. For some people that get the hairs in their throat or lungs, they can cause trouble breathing, and it can become a serious health issue.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you can prevent getting that really irritating rash in the first place, you're going to be much better off.
There are some tips to prevent exposure. The CDC suggests covering your face and any exposed skin by wearing long pants and long sleeves, as well as a mask. Do your yard work on damp days or water vegetation down before you start. Change your clothes when you're done and take a cool shower. They say do not hang your laundry outside where hairs can get on it. These are all really good tips. They do mostly work, but if you're doing yard work like just cleaning up stray leaves and stuff like that, you're really likely to get it. So just take proper precaution. All right, the time now is 6:17. After the break, from intense rainfall to raging wildfires, several areas of the nation are coping with severe weather conditions this morning. We'll tell you what's happening, along with the latest on President Trump's trip to the Middle East, which is not without controversy. These stories and more coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Is your driveway in distress? Dirt yard dragging you down? Call Paramount Paving, Penobscot County's most trusted name in driveways. With more than 1,000 jobs installed and a 4.5 rating on Google, it's easy to see why. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount. Call today for your free estimate.
Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Bold. Rich. Intensely delicious dark chocolate. Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Makes life a bite better.
You know what you don't see in psoriasis commercials? The thousands of real people who go undiagnosed. People whose psoriasis can look very different depending on their skin tone. As the makers of Tremfya, we understand that everybody's moderate to severe plaque psoriasis doesn't look the same. So we undertook a first-of-its-kind study of plaque psoriasis in every skin tone. Like hers, and his, and yours.
Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine.
Ask your dermatologist about Tremfya.
Is your driveway in distress? Dirt yard dragging you down? Call Paramount Paving, Penobscot County's most trusted name in driveways. With more than 1,000 jobs installed and a 4.5 rating on Google, it's easy to see why. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount. Call today for your free estimate.
Weather from east to west and from north to south. We're seeing everything from record heat and wildfires as far north as Minnesota to flash floods in Maryland, where the governor is urging people to stay off the roads. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the details.
Up to 5 inches of rain fell in just a matter of hours in western Maryland, submerging entire communities.
A certain part of Main Street, there was probably 1.5 feet
2 foot of water at one spot by the library.
Rescue boats evacuating an elementary school in Allegheny County. Floodwaters approaching the second floor. 150 students and 50 adults taken to a nearby church.
It was chaos everywhere. Everyone trying to panic and get their kid.
The storm's expanding along the East Coast, bringing rain to the New York City area today. Meanwhile, an early season heat wave is bearing down on other parts of the country. San Antonio, Texas could see 103 degrees for 3 straight days. Austin could hit a record 107 today. Even far northern Minnesota has seen temps in the 90s. The hot, dry conditions fueling 3 major wildfires in the state, up to 150 buildings now destroyed.
We put every nail in that house. We painted every wall. We did it from the ground up, and just to know it might be gone is so scary.
In the southwest, heavy wind fueling this massive fire in Albuquerque, spreading from those pallets to multiple buildings. A wildfire in neighboring Arizona also forcing evacuations. And in Southern California, new fallout from the devastating Los Angeles wildfires in January. Homeowners bracing for higher insurance rates. State Farm has now been approved for an emergency 17% rate hike. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, the time now is 6:21, and it's time to get a look at that local forecast with Devin Biggs.
All righty, Emma, thank you very much. Wave heights are nice and quiet out there this morning. Pretty much a good part of the region at around 1 to 2 foot wave heights. So, of course, no advisories along the coast this morning. Water temperatures are still rather cool, but slowly but surely climbing in the upper 40s to lower 50s at this time. On land, it's rather quiet, maybe a few clouds further off towards the north. But for us, a lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Now, there is some precipitation further down toward the south. We will be watching for precipitation for us coming up later on this week, but today and tomorrow, dry days for us. Futurecast moving forward. A lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Get outside and enjoy it. A little breezy outside for us today as well. Coming up later on tonight, here's what we got. Some more clouds on the way for us. Areas of dense fog will also be a possibility. And then throughout the daytime tomorrow, mostly cloudy. I don't think we'll see any rainfall. I do believe we'll stay dry throughout the daytime period on Thursday. Thursday night, still looking dry, some clouds and fog a possibility. And then by Friday, we may have to watch for rainfall by that point. But then today, here we are. We got gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour at times. It will gradually back off later on tonight. Maybe some more gusty winds throughout the daytime tomorrow, at times up to 20 miles per hour, and then starting to gradually ease up a bit by that point later on. But overall, low temperatures, at least so far, not too bad. A few spots in the 40s and 50s. We'll have more updates triggering in as we head throughout the morning. So I'll have another update as we head towards the noon time frame. But overall, our average high temperature is 65 degrees. We'll do 70s today, tomorrow, and also near Friday. Cooling off Saturday all the way through at least Tuesday into the 50s and even 60s. So overall for today, mid-70s, mostly sunny and breezy, and that south wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. Tonight, low 50s, partly cloudy, areas of dense fog, southwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, low 70s, mostly cloudy, south wind at about 5 miles per hour and even up to 10 miles per hour at times. Already, your extended forecast, showers and thunderstorms possible for your Friday with highs in the lower 70s, lower 60s for your Saturday with a chance for rain showers, and thunderstorms again for your Sunday with highs in the mid 60s.
Hank's Husqvarna is your trusted full-line Husqvarna dealer, offering you everything you need for your outdoor projects. From high-performance lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers to chainsaws, trimmers, battery-powered and powerful snowblowers, we have just what you need. Every piece of equipment is fully set up, serviced, and ready for use by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty. For parts, service, or new equipment sales, make your way to Hank's Husqvarna in Carmel or Newport.
It's our 30th anniversary sale here at Quality Jewelers. To celebrate, we are offering stunning 1-carat total weight lab studs for 30% off. To go along with that, select pieces will also be 30% off. We'll be running these deals all month, so you've got until May 31st to cash in on this sale. It was a no-brainer then, and it's a no-brainer now. Your local community supporter and trusted jeweler of 30 years. Quality Jewelers, Maine's official engagement jeweler, Penobscot Plaza, Bangor.
Hello, this is George Whelan with Down East Direct Cremation. Now, anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, from the comfort of your desktop or the convenience of your mobile device, you can summon transport and arrange a simple, affordable, respectful Down East Direct Cremation for your deceased loved one. Just by using the button exclusively at downeastdirectcremation.com. All you need is the location address of the person who has died, their vital statistics information, a valid credit card for payment, and that's it. No need to pick up the telephone, no need to answer a bunch of questions, no need to come into the store, and it's still just $9.75 complete. It's so easy, even I can do it. For more information, visit us at downeastdirectcremation.com or call us at 207-225-5332. Simple, affordable, respectful. The button, only at downeastdirectcremation.com.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith. Now to Georgia and the mistaken traffic stop that led to one family's nightmare. Here's ABC's Rhiannon Alley with the story.
What started as a mistaken traffic stop,
I'm going to search you,
may end with the deportation of a 19-year-old in the U.S. since she was 4 years old. Police in Dalton, Georgia are seen here this month pulling over Jimena Arias Cristobal for making an illegal turn. The college student was taken into custody and later transferred to an immigration detention facility. But now officers admit that traffic stop was a mistake. They pulled over the wrong truck.
We were all just blindsided.
That traffic stop may have been a mistake, but Jimena remains in ICE custody. Her family spoke to our affiliate WVII, saying they came to the U.S. from Mexico in 2010.
I've been helping her out because she doesn't know English, and it's just a lot of weight on us both.
Local Republican State Rep Casey Carpenter responding, saying the conversation has always been that we need to get hard criminals out of the country. Unfortunately, the people that aren't hard criminals are getting caught up in the wash. But local Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene saying she was driving illegally without a license and has no legal basis to remain in the United States. Jimena's father is also in ICE custody after being pulled over for speeding. The family claims he tried to legalize his status by getting a work visa. Her supporters note for people like Jimena, there are few ways to become a citizen.
It's impossible. There is not a pathway for someone that is in America right now towards citizenship unless they get married. Or they have a child and the child grows up and the child's 18, then they can petition for their parents. But as far as an individual that's, between the ages of 4 and 25, there's no pathway.
Homeland Security officials say the family should self-deport and take the free flight and $1,000 the government is offering to people in the country illegally. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Police arrested more than 24 people after activists protesting cuts to Medicaid interrupted the House Energy and Commerce Committee as it began consideration of legislation to change the Medicaid program. Dozens of protesters, many in wheelchairs, filled the halls of the Rayburn House office building on Tuesday afternoon, chanting, "No cuts to Medicaid." 26 protesters were wheeled away and arrested by Capitol Police after multiple warnings. The protest comes as Democrats are trying to counter the House GOP's bill that was released on Sunday that would impose large cuts to Medicaid and other welfare programs. Inside the House committee meeting, the panel taking up legislation that would make significant changes to Medicaid, which the Congressional Budget Office said in a partial estimate would lead to 10.3 million people losing coverage under the Health Safety Net program and 7.6 million people going uninsured. In other news, President Trump is in Qatar again today, his second stop on a 4-day trip to the Middle East. Yesterday, the Saudi Crown Prince gave the president the royal treatment. There, Trump announced an end to the sanctions against Syria. ABC's Christian Cordero has the details from Washington.
Today, President Trump heads to his second of 3 Gulf states, arriving in Qatar this morning and leaving Saudi Arabia, where he heaped praise on Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the man U.S. intelligence concluded orchestrated the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. Trump instead focusing on the region's economic prosperity and announcing at the Crown Prince's request he will lift U.S. sanctions on Syria.
Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
The sanctions were put in place during the Assad regime that has since crumbled, its new government now in power for the past 6 months.
There's a humanitarian reason to want the sanctions to be lifted, which is that the people of Syria have suffered under the sanctions. The United States should be cautious too, because you don't want to go whole hog and invest in any particular regime.
Trump meeting with Syria's new president today before heading to his next stop. Hanging over the president's entire Middle East visit, questions about the Trump family's business interests. Sons Don Jr. and Eric Trump now run the Trump Organization and have projects in the works in all 3 countries the president is visiting this week. His visit to Qatar also under scrutiny after its royal family offered that $400 million luxury jet, which Trump wants to use as Air Force One. His plan received swift backlash from Democrats and some Republicans, but Trump is still defending it.
We give a lot of gifts. We give too many gifts, to be honest with you. But I thought it was a beautiful gesture.
This comes as the president bashes Boeing for delays in production for new Air Force One jets. Trump asserted Qatar heard about those delays and offered to help. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Saudi Arabia lets President Donald Trump take his favorite fast food to go during his visit to the country. Video shows a mobile McDonald's truck in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, which was available to President Trump and others during the trip. While the McDonald's on wheels was personally made for the president, it's unclear if he made a pit stop. Mr. Trump is scheduled to continue his trip through the Middle East, as we heard, stopping at Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. Lyle and Eric Menendez, who have served 35 years in prison for the 1989 murders of their parents, were ruled eligible for parole by a Los Angeles judge on Tuesday. The brothers' new sentence of 50 years to life makes them immediately eligible for parole. Since they've served more than 25 years, as soon as they can get a parole board hearing, they could be released. The Menendez brothers were resentenced under a statute designed for those under 26 at the time of their crime. Lyle was 21, Eric was 18 when they shot and killed their parents in their Beverly Hills home. During the hearing, they appeared via video from prison, expressed remorse, and took full responsibility for the killings. Judge Michael Jessic called the crime absolutely horrific, but called the brothers' transformation behind bars unlike anything he'd seen before. A lot of celebrity news around the courts this week, internationally. Kim Kardashian has been in court in France for an abduction. What else? The Karen Reed trial is continuing in Boston. That is making national news as well. And of course, the P. Diddy trial. That's a Northeast, big news in the Northeast as well. So all sorts of court news this week. And it's kind of hard to pick what to put in the newscast. Okay, coming up on the second half of the newscast, a special book has been created to document the rich history of Waterville's fire department. We'll hear how it all took shape as Good Morning Maine continues.
Hi, I'm Dave from PDQ Door. We pride ourselves on our honesty and integrity. We'll always give you the best garage door repairs at a real price. Had your doors installed by another company? That's okay. Our experienced team is available to service all brands and models. Visit us at pdqdoor.com.
Foggy's Pub, your place for fun, food, and friends in Palmyra, Maine. Who has the best kept secret in Penobscot County?
We do! Welcome to Maple Lane Farms, a fifth-generation family farm that's committed to providing you with the best quality products. Our farm-raised local and sustainable meat is flash frozen to lock in the freshness and natural flavors. Experience the top-notch quality of our meat that's naturally raised without any antibiotics or hormones. Get the best of both worlds, quality and affordability. Try Maple Lane Farms today, the candy store for the carnivore.
Spring is here, the warmth is creeping in, and before you know it, summer's heat will be here. Stay ahead of the season with the Fujitsu heat pump from Valley Home Services. Efficient heating in the winter, powerful cooling in the summer, without the hassle of bulky AC units. And with efficiency main rebates, there's never been a better time to install one. Act now before the rebates are gone. Embrace the comfort with Fujitsu and Valley Home Services. Call or click today.
Hi, I'm Dave from PDQ Door. For a brighter, quieter, smarter garage door, call PDQ Door. You can count on LiftMaster openers, and for the best prices and best service, you can count on PDQ Door. Visit us online at pdqdoor.com, where we sell the best and service the rest.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith, and today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, and it's also International Chihuahua Appreciation Day. Humans have had pet dogs for thousands of years, and are believed to be the first animals to be kept as pets. Not Chihuahuas, dogs. This is a day to celebrate the smallest breed of dog in the world. Chihuahuas are named after the Mexican state of Chihuahua and usually grows between 3 and 6 pounds. They're quite rare. They were quite rare until the early 20th century, and they were first registered by the American Kennel Association in 1904. You know, they can be the angriest, littlest dogs, and I love them so much. Chihuahua Appreciation Day. If you have a Chihuahua in your home, give them a little crown today. I'm sure they would just love that. Okay, now let's look at some moments on this day in history. In 1787, delegates began to gather in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, to draw upon the U.S. Constitution. In 1804, the Lewis and Clark expedition began near Hartford, Illinois. Their mission was to explore the Louisiana Territory and the Pacific Northwest. In 1918, Washington, D.C. lifted a ban on Sunday baseball, becoming the third city to do so. In 1948, the independent state of Israel was proclaimed in Tel Aviv by David Ben-Gurion, who became the first Israeli prime minister. In 1973, the U.S. launched its first space station into orbit. Skylab was a complex space station that allowed research in life sciences and the effects being in space has on humans. It was damaged during the deployment stage, but Skylab was used in orbit until 1979, when it was allowed to burn up in Earth's atmosphere. Really makes you wonder how much space junk is just floating around out there. In 1998, the final episode of the TV series Seinfeld aired after 9 years on the air. And in 1987, Stars and Stripes Forever was designated as the official march of the United States. Today's birthdays include actress Cate Blanchett, who is 56 years old today. Director George Lucas from Star Wars fame is 81. And Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is 41 years old today. Happy birthday to them. All right, now let's turn it over to meteorologist Evan Biggs. I'm quite sad to see it does look like we have rain in the forecast again this weekend. I am just, you know, I have no words. I have no words. I think we all are at a loss for words for that poor forecast. But today looks beautiful, so let's get outside today if we can. Here's the forecast with Devin Biggs.
Hey, Emma, thank you very much. A nice quiet start this morning, and we'll stay quiet today with a good amount of sunshine, so get outside and enjoy things. There's a little bit of energy off toward the north that will not give us any issues. Some more energy off toward the south and west that will also not give us any issues. We will have some precipitation moving in later on this week, but in the short term, a lot of sunshine on the way for us throughout the daytime period today. Maybe some clouds, and yes, just a little bit of fog on the way for us coming up later on tonight. Maybe some gusty winds today as well, reaching up to about 20 miles per hour at times today. Calming down gradually later on tonight and looking pretty good for tomorrow. Maybe a few gusts getting up to 20 miles per hour at times. So overall for today, mid-70s. Actually pretty nice, mostly sunny. A little breezy out there, and that south wind, maybe a few areas getting up to about 25 miles per hour at times. Later on tonight, partly cloudy, some areas of dense fog with lows in the low 50s and a southwest wind backing off to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, lower 70s under a mostly cloudy sky and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, absolutely beautiful with a lot of sunshine, temperatures warming into the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Emma?
Thank you, Devin. Well, the history of the Waterville Fire Department goes back centuries. The department was formed in 1809, and since then, the water supply, firefighting equipment, and the physical location of the department have all changed. Now, Waterville residents and others can enjoy reading about those details in a new book created by one of the department's former captains. Our Jody Hersey has more.
The Waterville Fire Department has changed over the years. Its equipment, its manpower, and many other aspects have improved dramatically, according to Scott Holst, a former fire captain who spent 29 years of his life with the department.
It's a hard business, but back then it was grueling for those guys.
Holst spent 2 decades gathering information on the department from past firefighters, newspapers, and research he conducted at Colby College for a new book called History of the Waterville Fire Department.
And the book does not contain any fire calls or any related emergencies like that. It's just the history of the department itself, its people, the horses, the apparatus, even the pets that used to live here inside Central.
He found so many interesting stories and photos of the department since its creation back in 1809 to present day that he was able to fill 522 pages.
I even gone back into the Boston newspapers to find out, but these horses here, Major and Colonel, because they were well known to whenever the bell started ringing, they just, if they were in their stall, they'd come out of their stall, get right in front of the hose wagon and get ready to be harnessed right up.
The book, which costs $50, is available at both Bull Moose and Oliver and Friends Bookshop in Waterville, as well as at the fire station. A portion of the proceeds will go towards the Firemen's Memorial right outside of the station.
I'm hoping that the people will take it and read it from cover to cover, because they'll learn some stuff, some interesting stuff, some funny stuff. But I figured down the road people were going to use it more for our reference.
In Waterville, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
So much history around the fire departments. Very cool. All right, right after the break, Tyler Cruz will have those sports updates. We'll be right back.
Every answer tells a story.
Name a reason you might want to get rid of a tattoo.
You lost a bunch of weight, so now it's all...
Family Feud.
It was an anchor, now it's a fork.
Weekdays at 9 on ABC 7.
Summer can't come soon enough. And by the time it gets here, it flies by too fast. Here's an idea. Let's start summer sooner. Let's fly someplace warm. Let's fly someplace sunny. Let's start at Bangor International Airport, making tomorrow's memories today. The official airport of summer sooner. The official airport of you. FlyBangor.com.
Mira Joy, the overwhelming relief after Miralax helps you go. Miralax works naturally with the water in your body, putting you in a supernaturally good mood. Miralax, free your gut to free your mood.
Introducing the all-new Chevy Equinox, starting under $30,000. And the all-electric Equinox EV, America's most affordable EV with a 315-plus mile range. Quality you expect and a dealer right down the street. With Chevy, you get what you want. Current qualified lessees can get this 2025 Equinox for around $299 a month. Or well-qualified buyers can get 2.9% APR plus no monthly payments for 90 days.
Hey,
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Every day of your life.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. The news everyone feared has come true in the midst of another blown lead against the Knicks. In round 2 of the NBA playoffs, Celtics star Jason Tatum went down, and the outcome probably was the worst-case scenario. The Celtics announcing on Tuesday that Jason Tatum underwent surgery earlier in the day to repair a ruptured Achilles. That's the term they used for the injury he suffered in Monday's loss. He will not return this series or this season, and now even next season is in doubt. Achilles injuries typically come with longer recovery times. Tatum had a master performance, too, before going down. 42 points with 8 rebounds and 6 assists. And it was a somber scene when the C's met with media members after the game.
You know, we're in a hole, and you know we got to get back to Boston, and you know we got to figure out a way to win. So
we got to get ready for Game 5. So we'll take the night and pick our heads up tomorrow and put together a game plan to come out on our own floor to keep this series alive.
Tatum has missed back-to-back games just 4 times in his entire career. The Celtics and Knicks play Game 5 Wednesday at 7. Bringing it back local now, the Husson softball team punching their ticket to yet another NCAA tournament over the weekend. On Sunday, the Eagles beat the host team, SUNY Cobleskill, by a score of 8-0 to capture their 7th straight North Atlantic Conference title, which also automatically qualifies them for their 7th straight NCAA tournament, where Husson will travel to Minnesota to take on number 11 St. Mary's, which means it's been a career full of championships for this year's seniors as they've helped the Eagles establish themselves as a Division III softball powerhouse.
Absolutely. It's a winning culture. Everyone wants to win. Everyone's willing to put in the work to win. They know what they need to do to get there, and it's really great just to be here and be in that culture.
I mean, we have the most spectacular people around here. We have the most dedicated fans. We have people driving to New York. We have people going to Minnesota this week. So just knowing they're there for us, we're all there for each other, I think makes it just that much more special. And then these group of girls, they'll have my back no matter what. And that's how it is for everyone here.
The seniors say the culture has been set since they stepped foot on campus as freshmen, and it was just their job to continue it.
Yeah, I came in and it was a already built program, so to come right into that and you have these expectations and we're expected to win these games, so that was definitely coming in. You had to learn that pretty quick, and practices are intense, games are intense, and you just gotta get that role and go with it.
Wishing them luck. Staying with some softball now. Up to Old Town we go for a rivalry match between the Coyotes and Orono Red Riots. Beautiful day to be on the diamond. Crosstown rivalry coming to the home of the Coyotes. First inning, Old Town up, runners in scoring position, but Jillian Severance gets the K to get out of the jam. To the second now, no problem for Haley Soroyce in the circle. She strikes out the side to set down the Riots in order. To the bottom of the frame we go now. Natalie Fournier at the dish for Old Town, and she smacks this one deep to center. That's going to go off the wall, and she hustles into third with a triple she would later score. 3-0 now later in the game, and Ava Braslett is up with Brooklyn Rand on third. She lines one into center. That run comes in, and Old Town goes on to win it 8-0. To the baseball diamond now, Coyotes and Riots going at it right across the way at Old Town High. Second inning, Old Town up 1 with the bases loaded. Jack Brewer gets the fly out to shallow center, and Kason Bagley makes a great play and then spins and fires to the plate to keep the man at third and keep the game 1-0. And Brewer would get out of the jam as well. Next batter, the backwards K to end the frame and strand all 3 runners. Next inning, Alex McCannell working on the hill. He's going to get a looking strikeout of his own. Riots will have it second and third this inning, though. A little rally, 2 outs, and Andrew Barrett rips one to right field, but Parker Day snags the liner to end the frame. Next inning, we missed the contact, but that is Nate Baker getting all of this one deep to right and gone. That is a solo shot to put Old Town up 2-0, and the Coyotes go on to win it 8-1. To the Winkin Sports Complex now for some more high school ball. Ellsworth Eagles in Bangor taking on John Babst. Pitcher starting hot in this one. Aiden Willett on the mound for Babst. He gets the early strikeout. Next frame, nice move to first here from Dawson Curtis. Smooth throw from Jackson Barry, and that retires the side. Still scoreless now, third inning. Eagles have a man on third. Try to sneak a bunt in there with 2 outs, and the Crusaders do their job. Nice flip. They get the out to retire the side. Top 4 now. Curtis at the dish. He lifts it to left. Zach Babcock is under it. He has it. Kyle Kenny is tagging from second to third. And look at this. The ball is going to come free on the tag, and he trots on home. That is the game's first run, and Ellsworth played 6 in the final frame to win it 7-0. For some other scores from around the area, Herman baseball takes down MDI 5-2. Bucksport softball beats Mattanocook 4-0. In girls lacrosse, Winslow Lawrence takes down MCI Nokomis 8-7. And Camden Hills boys lacrosse takes down Winslow 13-8. All right, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
I'm Jim with Lowry & Associates. A husband and wife called me after they were hit by a drunk driver. They were both seriously injured, they couldn't work, and they were worried about their medical bills. We put 2 former prosecutors on the case and got them the justice they deserved. A $400,000 settlement they were able to use for their retirement. If you've been hurt by a drunk driver, call me. I'm your go-to guy.
Hurt by a drunk driver? Call the twos.
The Lucerne Inn and Ryan's Pub is world-renowned for beautiful dining with a delicious view. And start your Sundays with a meal to remember at our all-you-can-eat Sunday brunch. Every Sunday morning from 9 to 11:30 with award-winning dishes and discounts for seniors and veterans. Call to make your reservation. Whether it's a family gathering or a special celebration, our Sunday brunch is the perfect way to savor the weekend. Only at the Lucerne Inn. Beautiful dining with a delicious view.
For another look at that 5-day forecast with Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Emma, thank you very much. Wave heights are nice and quiet out there this morning. Pretty much a good part of the region at around 1 to 2 foot wave heights. So, of course, no advisories along the coast this morning. Water temperatures are still rather cool, but slowly but surely climbing in the upper 40s to lower 50s at this time. On land, it's rather quiet, maybe a few clouds further off towards the north, but for us, a lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Now, there is some precipitation further down toward the south. We will be watching for precipitation for us coming up later on this week, but today and tomorrow, dry days for us. Futurecast moving forward. A lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Get outside and enjoy it. A little breezy outside for us today as well. Coming up later on tonight, here's what we got. Some more clouds on the way for us. Areas of dense fog will also be a possibility. And then throughout the daytime tomorrow, mostly cloudy. I don't think we'll see any rainfall. I do believe we'll stay dry throughout the daytime period on Thursday. Thursday night, still looking dry, some clouds and fog a possibility. And then by Friday, we may have to watch for rainfall by that point. But then today, here we are. We got gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour at times. It will gradually back off later on tonight. Maybe some more gusty winds throughout the daytime tomorrow, at times up to 20 miles per hour, and then starting to gradually ease up a bit by that point later on. But overall low temperatures, at least so far, not too bad. A few spots in the 40s and 50s. We'll have more updates triggering in as we head throughout the morning. So I'll have another update as we head towards the noon time. time frame. But overall, our average high temperature is 65 degrees. We'll do 70s today, tomorrow, and also near Friday. Cooling off Saturday all the way through at least Tuesday into the 50s and even 60s. So overall for today, mid-70s, mostly sunny and breezy, and that south wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. Tonight, low 50s, partly cloudy areas, a dense fog, southwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, low 70s, mostly cloudy, south wind at about 5 miles per hour and even up to 10 miles per hour at times. Already, your extended forecast, showers and thunderstorms possible for your Friday with highs in the lower 70s, lower 60s for your Saturday with a chance for rain showers, and thunderstorms again for your Sunday with highs in the mid-60s.
Make your dream deck a reality with help from Hammond Lumber Company. Choose from traditional wood, affordable PVC, or beautiful low-maintenance composite decking. Hammond offers a variety of railing options too, including cable railing. Your Hammond sales rep will help you prepare your materials list and cost estimate and ensure you have everything you need. And Hammond delivers from 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. To get started on your new dream deck, bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Bold. Rich. Intensely delicious dark chocolate. Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Makes life a bite better.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Belfast, is brought to you by Nautilus Seafood and Grill. Fresh local seafood, stunning waterfront views, and unforgettable flavors, delivering the ultimate coastal dining experience in Belfast. Stone Artisans, your main granite supplier, specializing in countertops, patios, benches, walkways, and more. And North Light Gallery, where Maine's landscapes and stories come alive through the eyes of its finest artists.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Opa, a Greek Mediterranean dining experience like no other, serving the finest Greek dishes in central Maine. Let Executive Chef Gage Derbyshire prepare your food while you enjoy a drink. Opa! It's all Greek to me.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Get ready for an all-new season of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
Big names, big laughs, and big wins for charity.
I'm going to take the elevator to victory.
Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, new tonight on ABC.
All right, now finally, this morning, got to scroll to the right story. If you've ever wanted to see what the weather was like in another part of the state live, it is possible. LifeFlight has just completed its weather cameras project with the installation of its 35th camera. Now they're working to share those cameras with the public. LifeFlight pilots use the cameras to check current weather and runway conditions before flying to locations all across the state. The cameras are also being used to increase security at rural airports. Images from the cameras are accessible to all pilots and the public on the FAA website. It's a really good resource. We use stuff like that here on the news station as well. It's great to have webcams because it's like, oh, how much snow are we getting over there? Oh, have the leaves fallen in this part of the state versus not? Viewers will know we pop up the Greenville Junction camera a lot too, so it's great for everybody. It's also just a fun resource. Okay, we are running out of time. If you missed anything, you can head to foxbangor.com. We'll start a renewed hour of Good Morning Maine next on Fox 22. I hope you have a great Wednesday.
Unwind with a massage. Let me take away the stress of everyday life and allow you to fully relax. I offer Swedish, deep tissue, and prenatal massage. Healing Strength Massage in Bangor is your place for relaxing therapeutic massage.
Would you or your organization like to stay informed about current full-time job openings at ABC 7 and Fox 22? Email us at tv7jobs@wvii.com or write to us at 371 Target Industrial Circle, Bangor, Maine 04401, and we'll gladly add you to our list. ABC7 and Fox 22 are proud to be equal opportunity employers.
At East Coast Coatings, your car isn't just your transportation, it's a reflection of you. We bring out the very best in every vehicle with professional ceramic coatings and high-end auto detailing that protects, preserves, and impresses. We use cutting-edge products and expert techniques to give your ride unmatched shine and long-lasting protection. East Coast Coatings in Brewer. Call us today, 573-1045. It's time to bring back the shine and put the pride back in your ride.
The bus was a shell when you bought it. He fixed it.
Her business on wheels sprung a leak.
That's where it ran down. The paint has started running. The wall is wet.
Now a contractor's in hot water.
When she notified you that the bus was leaking, what did you do, Mr. Razzo?
We fixed it where it was leaking, and I'd never received a call from her again.
He stopped responding.
Oh, that's not actually true, Miss Dunbar. Not once do you say anything about the bus leaking.
Next, Judge Judy.
Wednesday at 5, only on ABC7.
Unwind with a massage. Let me take away the stress of everyday life and allow you to fully relax. I offer Swedish, deep tissue, and prenatal massage. Healing Strength Massage in Bangor is your place for relaxing therapeutic massage.
You're watching ABC7 Bangor.
Northwards to the Rock Mountain Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
On Good Morning Maine, a child has been reunited with her family after a frantic search in the town of Jay. Plus, a special gathering in Augusta to honor fallen law enforcement officers. And Camp Capella is ready for another busy summer season thanks to some caring volunteers. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith and thank you for tuning in this morning. Wow, yesterday turned out to be a beautiful day. I got sunburnt pretty bad. It got a sunburn, and you could get sunburned today too if you're spending the day outside. May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, so protect yourself from the sun today and try to get outside today because it's going to be a beautiful day. On that note, let's get a look at that forecast with Devin Biggs.
Hey, Emma, thank you very much. A nice quiet start this morning, and we'll stay quiet today.